What's up guys, my name is Ace, and lately I have seen a pretty big uptick in the amount of false bans of Activision accounts, and as a result, I wanted to make a dedicated video on something that I have mentioned several times in the past, but it's more so been like an offhand thing that I've mentioned throughout videos. And this is something that's just really important for anybody that cares about their COD account and doesn't want to see it get banned. So let's get into this, and the first step to make sure that your Call of Duty account doesn't get banned is don't cheat. Obviously, that's the first step. If you don't cheat, it's likely you're not going to get banned. But of course, that's not really what this video is about. This video is all about the false ban situation and the apparent uptick in false bans that we've seen lately. And there's actually a really solid explanation for this that I don't think a lot of people are aware of at this stage, and it could save you from a ton of trouble. So something that's been happening for years now with Call of Duty accounts, but it seems to be getting worse and worse as time goes on, is people will notice they get an email from Activision that says that a different account has been linked to their Activision account when they didn't do that. Oftentimes this will be somebody that only ever plays on console, they never play on PC, and they notice somebody links a Steam account to their Activision account. If that happens, you definitely don't want to ignore this because it's only a matter of time before your account is likely going to end up being banned. Essentially, what's going on here is Activision accounts are being targeted and people are gaining access to accounts that aren't theirs, and then they can sell these accounts to people that want to use cheats on those accounts without any of the negative repercussions, because if the account gets banned, it was never theirs to begin with, so it doesn't matter to them, but obviously it's going to matter to you if your account gets banned. And when this happens, oftentimes there's nothing you can do after the fact because somebody was cheating on your account, and therefore it wasn't technically a false ban. Your account was cheating, so your account was banned. Now, I have heard that sometimes Activision has been able to reverse the bans for some people that have experienced this, since they can look back and see that somebody logged in from a totally different location, for instance, and it was at that point that the cheating on the account started. Also, they can look and see that somebody linked a different account just before the cheating started. But I definitely wouldn't count on that being the case, and I would say it's more likely you're never getting your account back if this happens to you. Now, how does this happen? I'm not 100% sure of all the details, but one possible reason behind this that I have seen stated in the past is that a lot of people like to use the same passwords for multiple different things, and if there's a data breach for something that you have an account with and you're using that same password and it's also linked with your same email that is linked on your Activision accounts, well, then it's pretty easy for them to gain access to your Activision account that way. I'm sure it's possible there are other methods as well, but the way to protect yourself from this is quite simple. You want to log into your Activision account, go to your privacy and security settings, and activate two-factor authentication. Doing this will pretty much immediately secure your account and make it almost impossible for this situation to ever happen to you. Obviously, when it comes to stuff like this, no security is going to be 100% effective, but two-factor is one of the more effective ways of securing accounts. And I really wanted to make sure I was spreading the news on this with a dedicated video to hopefully save a lot of you guys some potential frustration in the future. Also, if you are somebody that's noticed that you have seen an email from Activision mentioning an account being linked to your account, you absolutely want to take action right now, change your password, and activate two-factor. Because if you don't, like I said at the beginning of the video, it's really only a matter of time before your account will be banned. And there we go. Just a quick, simple, but very important PSA for you guys out there. This seems to be happening quite commonly, so you might be thinking this probably won't happen to me. Well, you never really know, and it is better to be safe than sorry when it comes to this. Now, in addition to this, I'm sure anytime you bring up false bans, people are also going to want to talk a bit about false shadow bans. And this is a totally separate issue where your account isn't actually being banned. You won't be prevented from logging in and playing the game, but you'll notice that you're in shadow ban lobbies with other suspected cheaters, and therefore your ping's probably going to be unbearably high, and you will end up being placed against actual cheaters that have been placed there as well. So effectively, the game becomes unplayable while you're in a shadow ban, but if you just wait some time and you haven't actually been cheating, typically that shadow ban will clear within a couple weeks or so. Sometimes it takes a couple days, sometimes a couple weeks. And this is something you can actually check on your Activision account as well. It will show up as your account being under review for the games that you're trying to play if you are currently shadow banned in that game. I will leave a link to that down below, so you guys can come back to that and always check for yourself if you're currently shadow banned. But typically, like I said, if you aren't cheating, you will be cleared of a shadow ban. But then unfortunately, a lot of people end up in a shadow ban loop where they get cleared from this shadow ban, so the game determines they weren't actually cheating, and then they play a few regular matches, and immediately after those few matches, they are shadow banned again, and they have to wait for that whole process to repeat itself. And this is obviously a very frustrating situation and a really frustrating system. I really don't like how they handle the shadow ban system. I totally get the idea behind shadow bans, where if somebody is suspected of cheating, maybe they get reported by a ton of different people, then it sort of makes sense to play it safe, quarantine that person from regular players. So if they are cheating, they won't be able to ruin other people's experience, but they're also not immediately permanently banned until it's confirmed that they were actually cheating. So on paper, it doesn't sound like a terrible system for quarantining suspected cheaters and then dealing with them after the fact. The problem is false shadow bans seem to be happening very frequently as well, and this has been happening for many, many years. And I constantly get comments from people saying, please talk about the false shadow bans. I have multiple times, not only on this channel, but myself and other creators have brought this up directly to developers while visiting studios, and we've expressed our frustration with this. We've done everything that we can possibly do when it comes to this. And at this point, it's really out of our hands. I can't influence this in any way, unfortunately. And I just wanted to make sure I was tagging that topic on the end of the video, since I know anytime we bring up a cheating situation and false bans, shadow bans are bound to be brought up as well. But with that, that is going to wrap it up for today's video. The primary lesson here is please activate two-factor authentication on your Activision account. That will secure it and ensure you're not going to be running into any false ban situations. Also, be on very high alert if you notice that somebody has linked an account to your Activision account. And with that, this is where I'm curious to hear from you guys in those comments down below. First off, have any of you guys that have been watching this noticed that an account has been linked or perhaps been false banned entirely from Call of Duty? And second, how many of you guys have experienced shadow bans as well? Just let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.